Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Flying Pig United. Back again with another transfer show. Plenty to talk about. Got some great people on with me today. Griffo, how are you doing?
If we discount everything going on with United, I'm good. But I'm sure we'll get into everything going on with our beautiful club in the next hour or so.
Certainly. Eddy, how are you doing?
It's just, good to see everyone back on the panel. And big up to people in the chat. Obviously, hopefully you're hitting the like. I just got to echo what Griffo was saying. It's just frustration. I think we've got to have some patience because the bigger picture is to have this takeover happen. And then, it's going to take time for the structure to properly rebuild. So, doing all right apart from that.
Yeah, it's just terrible at the moment. Jarvis, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, Maisy?
I'm very well, thank you very much for asking. Thank you as well, everyone who's already in the chat. Hey to Lukov. Hey as well, Lucky Singh. Absolutely right. We want the Glazers gone. Duncan, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Furkan, thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Dynamite. Dynamic Melon. Yes. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Hey as well, Liam. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Hey, Vincent. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in. Hey, Philip. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. And hey, United Till I Die, GGMU. Hey, Avenger. Good as always to see you. Niall Kane, thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. Nick, good to see you as well. And Rajat, good to see you also. Good to see everyone else who's in the chat as well. Plenty of people have come in, so thank you all very, very much for coming into the chat. So before we do discuss the transfer news, because of course there is a lot more outgoings than incomings, of course. There was something I wanted to touch on first. What did get recorded today by Mike Keegan. Manchester United gross debt figure currently stands at 725 million, which is reported the gross debt is at its all-time high. Just wanted to get everybody's thoughts on that, because it's clearly not sustainable. If, for instance, we already know what could have been if these laws was in place a lot earlier on, and that too, it is really tampering onto that transfer window, isn't it, Jarvis?
Yeah, the debt is extremely high at the moment. The thing is, I don't think it's affected by the interest rate because our debt is in bonds, like 12-year or 15-year bonds. So I'm not sure how it works. What I could read from the Q3 was we had an 11% increase in revenue. So in a way, the club runs itself well at the moment, but we have all of our money we use to pay down our debt, so we have nothing to spend. We have no liquidity, so that's a big problem as I see it.
Yep, absolutely. What's your thoughts as well on it, Griffo?
Yeah, as you say, debt's at an all-time high. I think we all knew this was going to be sort of coming, and it's just hands on to the point about the takeover, doesn't it? We've got one party that wants to come in and clear all the debt instantly and bring us back to neutral and go from there. We've got another man who wants to reportedly keep the Glazers in and keep the debt, or obviously not sort the debt out. So it's good. Yeah, it is what it is. We've been in this situation for years and years and years. How we got to this stage, with laws that weren't here and laws that have come in now and all sorts like that, it's just a complete mess. I'm thankful that it can't really happen again to any other club, because being a fan of the club, it is happening too. It's just obviously disgraceful that obviously this can happen. So yeah, but it's not come as a shock. We all knew that we're in debt and it will get worse and worse, and we just need that definitive date where we go takeover complete or announced, and then hopefully it shakes the gym, clear the debt, and start afresh. And hopefully this can all just be a distant past.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll go into you next, Eddy. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of like the positivity. Like we've got to remember, there's teams like Barcelona who have to deal with way more debt. Like I was just looking at what their debt is. It's like 1.35 billion euros, which is it's going to be near enough the same thing in pounds, right? So it's like we're not at that stage where we're having to host weddings at Old Trafford. So it's like we're still in kind of a good stage. So it's good that this takeover is possibly going to happen where if we get the right owners, like Griffo saying, that just going to come in and just wash that debt away, so we can properly back this manager, refurbish the stadium, help the women's team, all of that stuff that needs to be helped, grassroots, all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, just looking at it in comparison to people like Barcelona, it's like, okay, it's not that bad. So I was trying to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd have a wedding at Old Trafford anyway? That's what I'm thinking. You laid the catering out, the roof's leaking everywhere, no Wi-Fi anywhere.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Just rust everywhere. It's not. It's not this
that's
all
true.
romantic
Like
place.
my Victoria sponge wedding cake would be all over the floor, melted, which is a bit of a shame. But Orlando thought that was pretty funny about hosting weddings. Vincent did mention today there was a protest that made the megastore close, but as soon as the protesters went, the shop opened back up. Crazy, but I do respect all the people who did take the time to do the protest. I actually didn't hear about the protest until last night. When someone told me, "Oh, did you hear about the protest?" I was like, "Oh, I have no. I had no thing. Did any of you say about the protest prior from yesterday?"
No, I just heard about it this morning. But the thing is, okay, people are going to still buy their merchandise, but at least that shop's being closed for a bit of time. So they are losing money. If you look at it like, time is money. So if they're losing time in the shop being open, there's a bit of a boycott there. So the Glazers are not going to like that kind of thing. This is why I'm really thinking, how can they stay and keep putting up with protests? Because
I don't think they'll care.
Yeah,
to be honest, if the megastore closes for a minute or two.
Yeah,
I mean, they've already got the money through with the Adidas deal, haven't they?
Yeah, that's the thing. They've already got money there, but it's like it is bad for business. Like when you look at it commercially, it's not a good. It's not a good look. No. In terms of PR, it's like extra people that want to come and invest. Yeah, they don't want to deal with all these shenanigans of like the people that you're investing in. Like people like Adidas, they're investing in the product where the fans are not happy. So it's like they're not going to like that in terms of PR. So I think. Yeah, it's got to have some kind of effect. It's got to have some kind of effect.
Yeah, I think it will have some sort of effect, but I think Glazers probably beyond protests right now. They've seen so much and they're probably numb to them at this stage, especially that one, which of course that the megastore did close, but there wasn't many people there that did it. Of course, we got the game against Liverpool a few years ago cancelled. That was probably the biggest one. So I think they're a bit numb to it at this point. And to be honest, like the decision about the takeover basically lies on whether they want to stay or go. And I don't think a protest, as good as the protest was, and I applaud and praise everyone that got out there to have their voice heard, of course, but I just don't think at this stage that they're going to see that protest at the megastore and go, oh, let's just sell up. I think we're beyond that point at this stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely see your opinion, and to be honest, I do. A part of me in my mind about this whole takeover saga anyway, I genuinely do think it is already done and dusted, but nobody is confirming anything. I think it's been agreed in principle, but prior to having the document signed, blah, blah, blah. Just because I was speaking to somebody and they said to me, surely if they wanted to stay, because Jim Ratcliffe, realistically, he never made his bid any higher. So you would have really thought if they really wanted to stay, wouldn't they have accepted Jim Ratcliffe's bid months ago?
That's a big question there. Maybe they are in two minds because we've heard before that the rest of the Glazers, apart from Joel and Avram, like they want to sell. So there is like a conflict in the Glazer family. So maybe that kind of thing is stopping them from making their proper decision. For me, it's like I'm thinking. I was thinking for a lot of time that it would be the Glazers taking Sir Jim's offer, because if you're getting money for shares and then you can stay as well, that just seems like a great, you know, option for them. Because like I said on the previous show, they may be thinking, if we get this investment money, we can just keep going. Like Griffo's saying, they may be numb to these protests, so they're just going to stay there and then try and get the Super League, you know, implemented again. It's like they're always trying to think of different money-making things. So maybe they're thinking not to sell up for like this one cash settlement. Maybe they're thinking there's still some cash down the line. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully not. Hopefully the Qataris come in.
Yeah, the thing is, no, Ineos, they're struggling at the moment. They had their bid in, as you said, Maisy. They haven't increased their bid, and you know, but they were in full dialogue with the Glazers a long time. But then the fifth bid from the 9-2 Foundation came in, and then it's been completely radio silence. They haven't heard anything. And you know, the 9-2 wanted exclusivity in the rest of the what do you call it, the auction, but then the Glazers they declined it. So at the moment, I think the Glazers have been clear all the time. They want 6 billion, 1 billion each for the siblings. That's what they want. But the last offer from the 9-2 Foundation is almost 6 billion. So we're getting there. But there's no exclusivity for the 9-2. But as I see it at the moment, they don't speak with Ineos. So it looks like 9-2 and Sheikh Yassim gets the deal done. We just have to wait. And when they say, okay, I give you exclusivity, he will probably raise his bid up to 6 billion.
I just really hope that the fact that they've registered at the company's house means something. I know Griffo was saying before, it's just like a formality of getting your ducks in order. You know what I mean? Just making sure you're prepared if you win. But I'm just hoping that's a big sign that they've got a deal done. Yeah, man, we
It's
need
been
it.
7 months though, hasn't it, since they announced that they were, what was it, finding strategic alternatives, financial alternatives. Like, if you say you're going to do that, and then 7 months later you still don't really know if you want to go or stay, it just doesn't make any sense at all. You've had 7 months to decide. They're still deciding. It's just so frustrating because it's affecting our transfer window now. And even if the preferred bidder and the owner was announced tomorrow, they're not going to come in until probably early September now, and that's when the transfer window is closed. So it's not going to have that big an impact on the summer. So we're still in for a Glazers summer, and it's just not like, why would you want to come to Man United when the clarity of owners is not clear?
Yeah,
you don't know which way you want to go, do you? So
we got to remember there's problems with the A Class A and Class B shares at the moment. Rainy Group and Ineos, they have been accused for manipulating the stock price. So that's why we don't hear anything, and I think that's one of the reasons things are dragging out at the moment. Because there's only like 69% and 31% that we are battling from one side to the other. But to get majority, okay, we have to buy out the Glazers, or 9-2 Foundation has to buy out the Glazers, but they want to own it 100%. So the full sale won't be. It will take a while, but the Glazers sale could happen any day.
Yeah, just coming back just real quickly to like the transfer window, like what Griffo's saying, it does seem like we're in for that, just another Glazer transfer window. This is where I think as fans now, we just got to be patient now. Like we've seen that it's like, you know, there's a lot of speculation with different players. There's going to be a lot of hype, but the bigger picture is these guys, they're likely to go. And, you know, all the formalities is going to take time. So, you know, by the time the owners come in, it's like all the good players would have been sold to certain clubs. And then it's like, yeah, I think we have to write off the summer transfer window and wait for dare I say, next season. Do we have patience, though, as fans, you know? But we don't have control. So we're going to have to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the only problem, I'm afraid. Moa said the world takes Man United for mugs. We get conned, overpaying every year. Nothing will change. I completely agree with that. But in a slight positive, we have actually stuck to our guns regarding the Mason Mount deal, because we have said enough is enough. We're not going to be paying any more than what we have said here. So as long as they stick to their guns, I think hopefully over time, I'm not going to say it will, but fingers crossed over time, you might see a bit of a difference, surely, Eddy.
Yeah, it's. I'm just trying to think. Like, I just had a bit of a brain fart then. Like, just say your last point again, because I'm just thinking about this transfer window. It's frustrating.
It's fine. I was going to say, surely in the future, if we carry on to be stubborn to say I'm not paying any more than this, surely eventually, I'm not saying that's going to happen next year or the year after, but surely in the next 5 years or so, less clubs are going to stop overcharging us for players.
I think it's just a mess now. Yeah. For me, I'm thinking way ahead. I'm thinking because so many teams put the subjective value on players, and then they want to play a hard ball. It's like maybe teams are really gonna have to really invest more in their own academies and just be trying to bring through more of the talent from grassroots in order to save money, really, because you know what I mean. Like it's transfers like Grealish going for 100 million. Things like that, Maguire 80 million. It's wrecked the market. It's wrecked the market. So, I mean, if the Qataris come in, they'd want the highest standard of negotiators. So, it's likely, things could get better for Man United, doing negotiations in the transfer market, because people like to say, right? Oh, there's a Man United tax. So, because people know we got money, they overcharge us. But it's like, other teams have money. I see people know that Man City have a lot of money, right? With the investment they got from their owners. They've made a lot, apart from the Grealish one, they've made a lot of good signings, which are like on average, 60 million for players like Silva, getting Haaland, 70 million. It's like, there's just got to be like, obviously, there's the structural change where we're better negotiators. I want people like Ralph to be helping us out, but that ship has sailed into the sunset. We missed out on him, but we just gotta wait for the structure change. Or if the Glazers are staying here, we're just gonna keep doing this Man United tax. That's it.
Yeah, you got to remember, Eddie, we have appointed a new chief negotiator from Adidas, Matt Hargreaves. He has a good resume and a CV, and I think he could be good for us this season. We will see something different. I don't know what strategy he has yet, but no one knows. So it will be exciting to see. Maybe we just wait for the other guys to bid out the price, and we just go in and swoop the deal. Maybe we will do this. We did that last year with a couple of players. And the problem is at the moment we are on a string budget. We have somewhere in between 120 to 200 million. I think we have more, because they said in the winter January window that we couldn't buy players because we were saving up to go large this summer. So I think there's more. But what comes out publicly, we don't want to flash our cash and say, "Come on, we're." So
like Woodward was saying, we can buy any player, and then
we have learned from our mistakes. So I think it's too early to get pessimistic on behalf of the transfer window. I think there's a lot of job to be done, but we can get a lot of players, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
When's his chief negotiator starting? Do you know? Has he started already? Surely he hasn't started already.
For 1st of July, I think it was.
Yeah, I think hopefully that's the shifting of the tides. But I know we're going to get onto a certain Rabiot, and I've got opinions on that player. So, but I mean, how we lost out on that, I don't know. But we'll get onto that, I'm sure.
I must say, I'm not losing sleep over it, losing out on him, to be honest. I'm definitely not, for sure. Nick Knack said, the problem is, how do you shift Maguire out? No Premier League club will pay his wages. It's the same with a lot of players at the moment. High wages. Pardon?
How much is Maguire on?
I couldn't tell you. I'm sure there's a lot of...
or something like that.
Too much.
I can just check.
much. I'm actually going to look how much he's on. He's currently on 237 grand a week.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a problem when Saudi Arabia don't even want him. They're seemingly wanting everyone at the moment. And absolutely no talk whatsoever about Maguire. So
have they not been watching England? He's been, he's been on fire for them. They're going to miss out.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Stephanie has said John screwed Ralph over, tried to pick his brain and made him look good, in my opinion. I think that's probably the case. I think the thing is because he spoke out against the Glazers, and I think once he done that, it was just game over, really.
Yeah, just one point on that. It's just like, because I really do respect Ralph, because he obviously he knows ball. He knows how to find the diamonds in the rough in terms of getting signings for cheap. But it's like, yeah, maybe he could have kept his mouth shut in terms of just saying that we need open heart surgery, and just because the Glazers were always going to take that as an insult to their intelligence, that they don't realize that we need the open heart surgery. But then again, we wouldn't have known. I mean, we do know, but it's like sometimes we like to see people working for the club be honest as well. So there's a delicate balance. So it's a shame though. I think they should have still given them the time to do the consultancy. It's just really disappointing.
Yeah, the whole Ralph Rangnick thing is a complete mess, isn't it? Because I think when we sacked Ollie and appointed Rangnick, I think we basically wrote the season off, because Rangnick wasn't an established coach. He was more of a man who goes upstairs. And that was the whole point. We brought him in for 6 months and then he goes upstairs. He recommended players like Julian Alvarez, didn't he? Who's doing well at City. He's basically just completed football this year, isn't he? So, but yeah, it just doesn't make sense how we appointed him and he did bad in a role that he isn't used to and spoke out a little bit, which is basically the point of the job we wanted him to do anyway. And then we just pull the trigger on that. It's just another situation where it's just the Glazers thinking one day ahead, no forward planning whatsoever, and just, whatever they're feeling like on that day, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I'm not even excited of what like Jarvis was saying about the new chief negotiator. It's like, because the Glazers have made so many wrong decisions, it's like it's hard to take their decisions like positively, especially when they're going. Do they really care who they're hiring now? Like,
it's true. It's true. It's a good point, Eddie. But the thing with Rangnick, he came in. He was the right man. He's not a good manager per se, but he has a background, and he could stay on and help build the club. He came in with the intentions to do that. He was going to do his job, and he was honest. He said he spoke his mind, but the Glazers didn't give him the authority necessary, and they didn't trust him. Him and Richard Arnold, they didn't speak for 3 months. It's when you come to job and you can't speak with your boss for 3 months, it tells a lot about the environment in our club. So I feel for Rangnick. I wish he would stay, but Ten Hag came on. What happened there, I don't know. But I think Ten Hag is also a very stubborn man and knows what he wants. So he saw that it would be a clash if those two guys were going to cooperate together. So I think
I always thought though, Jarvis, that Rangnick would want not Rangnick, Ten Hag would want someone that knows football like him as well, because they would know that they're going into just like Ten Hag would know he's going in to talk to a lot of bankers. Like surely, I mean, okay, there's the power dynamic, but it's like surely he would have wanted someone that understands football there as well to be talking to. I mean, with the director of football, they're always going to have power over the manager. So surely, from his experience at Ajax, he would respect that. Like, I never believed that Ten Hag didn't want Ralph.
Maybe you are right. I think you make a good point. So I won't argue with you. I think maybe you're right.
Well, would Ralph have really changed much anyway? Obviously, he's much better than what we got, but it all comes back to the Glazers. Like we've heard many times before, we showed Bellingham round Carrington, and we didn't get him. Ollie wanted Haaland, we didn't get him. Alvarez, Rangnick wanted, we didn't get him. Caicedo, we were so close to getting, and we walked away. And now apparently we might be back in for 75 million more than we were going to pay in the first place. So, yeah, Rangnick would have been far superior to anyone we got up there at the moment.
Yeah,
but it all comes back to the owners and whether they're willing to do the deed and pay the money. And obviously, they've proven that it's not that case at the moment.
I just think if he would have been able to link with Ten Hag, he would have been more of an attractive prospect. Because remember, people, I don't think they were rating Ole as a coach. Like, people rate Ten Hag because you can see with what he did with Ajax, he knows how to take young teams to go and progress. I think Ralph would have changed some stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree, but I don't think it would have been because it all just falls back on the Glazers at the end of the day.
Yeah, agreed completely. John has said the Glazers were threatened by having Ten Hag and Ralph at the club, so he had to go. There was a question that I wanted to touch on by Rajat was how do you rate the new kit? I'll ask you first, Griffo, what you think of the kit.
I think it's one of the best kits we've had over recent years, to be perfectly honest. This is probably the one part of the show where it's going to be a little bit positive, so make the most of it. But I think the kit's really good. I like the black collar. I like the stripes going down the shoulders and the arm. Love the way the players modelled it today, of course. So yeah, I think it's a really good kit. And I always judge kits. It's hard to judge kits when you see them being modelled, and then it's completely different when you get used to the players playing in the kit. I was like that with the last few kits. I've grown to love it, but this one I love from the outset. I really do. I think classic red, and you got the black stripes. I really do like it. I've seen some people saying that they can see a Premier League title lift at the end of May in that kit. I think that's getting a bit too far, but I'm a big fan of the kit for sure.
I just want to say thank you, Zane, as well, for the £9.99 super chat. Really means a lot. Timber Rising coming, and Havertz will be a new player under Arteta. How will you catch us next season with only Mount? Well,
I'm not sure about Havertz, man. Like, do you guys?
I'm not convinced.
Arteta is really going to awake Havertz, man. He did play well in Germany, but it's like, I don't know what he's shown for Chelsea. He just looked a little bit passive. Like, I remember when he was playing up front, it looks like he got no shot power. Like, what are Arsenal doing? Aren't they looking for like a striker? Like, shouldn't they be really going for that kind of person? Because Jesus, he misses certain chances. He's got a good hold up play, but he misses chances. Like, I don't see Havertz being good, guys. Nah, 70 million as well. They're overpaid. Come on.
Yeah, is the Havertz deal even done?
It's done. It's confirmed.
It's done?
Basically.
Okay, so they have one player, but Timber and Rice, Man City are in for Rice at the moment. So same, just put out your shisha pipe and relax. this is going way too fast.
I think you're something stronger, Jarvis. Yeah, because Rice, I see him going to Man City as well. Come on, you're going to turn down the treble winners. Like, I hate saying that, by the way, obviously, but it's like, you're not going to turn them down for Arsenal, are you?
No, I don't think so.
I can't see it. And to be honest, from what I've been hearing, though, Declan Rice is apparently more interested in Arsenal than Manchester City, which is very weird. I think that if anyone's going to say why he'd be probably more interested, will probably be more likely the game time. Because let's be real, against Rodri, who was absolutely outstanding for City last season, he's not getting ahead of Rodri.
Well, maybe he's a replacement for like people like Gundogan. Maybe Pep turns
But
him
that's
into
going to
another
be
8.
Kovacic, isn't it? Kovacic.
Kovacic,
yeah.
You can play Rice further forward. He's done that a few times for West Ham, and he's really good in attacking moments as well. That's why he's such a good midfielder, because defensively and offensively he is really good, and you can sort of turn his hand to anything. So, obviously game time at City is the issue, but I think you can get over playing a few less games if you're going to win trebles most years. Which
if he's playing back up to Rodri though, Griffo, it's like he won't go. He surely won't go there because Calvin Phillips, right? He's hardly played any games.
Rice is obviously a big fan of Calvin Phillips. Those two played with each other, didn't they, with England? So he'll see that situation and he'll go, okay, maybe. And
let's be real though, like Calvin Phillips is not going to be realistically bothered if he got shipped on, because even though he probably played about 90 minutes in all competitions this season, he's still a treble winner. So he's not going to be fussed, because he's going to be like, I'm literally in history now at Manchester City. Whereas Declan Rice, he needs to build that legacy of winning these kind of trophies.
Yeah, that's true. Can you really be like, if you're Calvin Phillips, can you really be proud of that treble? I mean, hardly playing. Like, is he really going to tell his grandchildren, yeah, I was in that treble team and I really contributed? Like,
I'll
nah,
come on in 2 minutes in stoppage time.
nah.
Thank you as well, Zane, for the £1.99 super chat. But I don't agree with what you're saying here. We have Balogun better finisher than Rashford.
No, wait. Can you put like maybe Zayn in a sin bin for that? Like, that is blasphemy. I would say Rashford was our player of the season, man. Like, his record amount of goals that he got. Like, you know what I mean? That goal he got against Arsenal when he just nutmegged Partey, just like took him to the cleaners. Did that long range goal? Like, you talk about Balogun. What's Balogun
Yeah,
doing?
but I want to give Zane credit, because Balogun is actually a great player. You know, he's young. He scored about 21 goals for a mid-table team in Ligue 1 in France, and that's good coming from a player like him. I think he can come back, but you know, you have to like divide the numbers by 2 when you come to the Premier League. So 21 goals will give you 10 goals. I don't think he will be a hit right away, because he's still young, but give him time, so maybe he will be a good player. But I wouldn't rely on him, saying so. Just relax, man.
Yeah, that's why I'm not giving Zayn props, because he's compared him to Rashford. Like, automatically, you just write off what Zayn says for saying that.
Yeah.
Arsenal fans do this thing where they have a good thing, but they over hype it, don't they? You know, they've had a good season, but now they're saying they've had a great season, and you know, this amazing team. You know, it's like the Invincibles. I know Zane's probably going to kill me for this, but the Invincibles, yeah, it's all right, but I mean, it's not super impressive, is it? You know, you drew a load of games. Obviously, you didn't lose, but it's pales in comparison to treble sides like City's and United's.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get more trophies for the unbeaten thing. You get the same
you just get a gold trophy. But you know, it's the same trophy, but you know, different spray paint. So,
thank you as well, Zay, for the £9.99 super chat. Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, Rice, Jesus, what an attack! I didn't know Rice was an attacking player, to be fair, but and thank you again for the other £9.99 super chat. Why didn't United or Arsenal go for Maddison? Why is he going to our pub team instead? Lack of ambition, I'm guessing. Wanting to get into the England squad. He wants games.
Where's he going to? What's the pub team?
He's apparently linked to Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're a pub team. Yeah. Why is he going there? Like, because he is like an expressive player, like the kind of maverick that, you know, I think he'd work in the top team. Like, do you know when he gets interviewed, he seems like that kind of player that's just like confident, and he could really adapt to a top level. So, going to Spurs, why? Doesn't he want to win trophies? Surely.
Maybe he's turned on by the project, maybe. Obviously, we say this every year with Tottenham, new project here, new manager here, but, you know, some players like to be, you know, if he goes and Tottenham finally wins something and he's the catalyst, then he's widely regarded and he looks 10 times better than if he goes to, I don't know, United and doesn't do as well, I guess. But I can't get in the head of players like that.
It's weird. Griffo, it's weird though, like, because everyone's seen what Daniel Levy's doing at that club, and like they've revealed, like they've broken down the fourth wall and showed that they just care about the commercial stuff. I know with the Glazers we see all this kind of stuff, but it's not like blatant, like with you know, Tottenham just wanted to like host certain concerts for Beyonce or host the NFL. You could just see, like, the big thing is when they fired Jose before a final, that should tell every player that's going there that these guys are not serious. No team has done that kind of thing with Jose. So I'm surprised at Maddison for that kind of move.
Mm-hmm. There was a comment in the chat here as well by ULF793 saying Man United should get Rice and Bowen. Would Bowen, realistically, do you think Bowen at this moment, do you think he would get into the Manchester United squad for you personally, Jarvis, in the starting 11?
I don't know. He plays on the right, or plays he on?
I'm sure he
I
plays
think
on
he's
the
on the
right.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's on the right.
Yeah, he plays on the right. I like Bowen. I think he has some, like, I would say, like, tenacity in him. He always, like, do his best, and then he tries to win the ball. He's not afraid to take a tackle and put his body on the line. And he looks like a player with courage. I think maybe he would suit United in a way, but is he at the level we need? That's another question. When I see him, I only see West Ham's goals, and when he scores, so I only see the best of Bowen. I don't know if his average performance is good enough. Maybe you guys know.
For me, I was just gonna say, Jarvis. Yeah, I saw him make his debut for England, and he made his debut when England got turned over 4-0 against Hungary. Now he didn't play. He was trying, like, he had a bit of tenacity, but then we didn't see the dribbling. The positioning was a bit off as well. So I think the pressure of playing for England got to him. And can you imagine him trying to, adapt to the pressure at Man United as well? I think just West Ham is his level. So I doubt he would have anything special enough to bring to United, in my opinion.
100%. I agree. I think Bowen is in the same category, in my opinion, as Wilfried Zaha, that if they go to a big club like United or anyone, or even Newcastle, I think they would not do as well. I think the upper barrier of Bowen is West Ham. He's a great player, obviously, but I think he is that sort of Europa League getting player that suits West Ham or Aston Villa or something. But if you're a Champions League, I don't think he'd be a good squad player. But I think that if there's one position Man United don't really need to strengthen at the moment, it's that wide position. So you've got Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Alanga, Pellistri, Ahmed.
Yeah, we've got plenty. We definitely do have plenty. Thank you as well, Rushmano, for the £5 super chat. Only one trophy for Arsenal, and that's in the form of a large bottle. Anyway, back on Earth. Well, yeah. Good comment there from Rushmano. I am going to go into some transfers because there is plenty of transfers. Zane as well as also gave a £1.99 super chat. Again, thank you very much, Zane. Talking to Rushmano there regarding the Carabao Cup.
Just move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
When's Arsenal's Premier League?
Big up, Zane. Thank you for your super chats.
Big up, thank you.
I reckon Arsenal could sign Rice if Zane started donating to Arsenal. He seems to be always got the money. So if he sends it to Arsenal, maybe Rice will come.
There has been quite a few transfer links anyway. I know there's been I'm going to go into the more spoken about today and a little bit later on David De Gea. But one I wanted to touch on a little bit was Alex Telles. Because there has been reports today regarding Alex Telles that he is looking. Benfica are confident about signing Alex Telles on a season-long loan. They would sign him permanently at the end of the season when he becomes a free agent.
Yeah, Griffo has just summarized what my answer was going to be as well. Just another loan for what? What
He's going on a free. He's literally going on a free at the end of the year, and we're putting him on a season-long loan. Like, I genuinely don't understand it, but you know what? It looks like Griffo really needs to speak about this, so I'm going to pass the bag over to Griffo right now.
I've got nothing to say. It's just this club. Why? It makes no sense. Everyone can see it. It makes no sense. Alex Telles is a player that you can get a bit of money for as well. He's not the world's worst left back. I think there's teams that would want him. Just get Benfica to pay, if he's in the last year of his contract, get him to pay, 10, 15 million, maybe a bit less, but get something for him because, this player can still do bits. It just doesn't make sense.
He's getting old as well now. He's 30. So it doesn't make sense for another loan. Like, he's going to improve. So if they can get some money for him, like, I don't. I don't see 10 million because, like, we've seen how underpriced these transfer listed players are. But if we
I
could
think
get 10
age-
million, that'd be awesome.
I think age as well is differing in what leagues you're in. Because 30 in the Premier League is sort of coming towards the end. But if you're 30 in the Italian league, then it's a slightly slower league. So you'd probably be a better player. And at Benfica, Portugal, I know Maisy's a big fan of the Portuguese league. Maybe 30 is a good age to go to the Portuguese league. And,
It is.
play.
I think the thing is with the Portuguese league, it's for two good things. One, if you're a young player and you're wanting to build up your career, and the second one is for when you want to redeem a career. Alex Telles, for me, he's probably at the point of he's wanting to redeem his career. He's not really in the Brazilian squad. And I know they're going to get a new manager in, so he's going to want to obviously prove a point. His best years were in Portugal under Porto, which I'm a little bit surprised as to why he would want to go to a rival. Bear in mind, though, we should be getting at least something. 10 million, someone who's just won the Europa League. We could literally use that to say this guy's just won the Europa League. Look what he done at Seville last season. We're not going. He's like make a little bit of a lie like we have in the past. He's gonna be in our plans. You're not letting him go. We're not letting him go that easily. See what they can come up with. I think a loan just to let him go on a free. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I know Benfica scrape the pockets as it is, as a lot of the Portuguese clubs do. I just genuinely don't understand it. Jarvis, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm googling salaries, average salaries in Benfica, because Alex Telles is on 93k a week. That's low compared to the other United players, but when you compare it to other clubs, especially when you go to Portugal and the Netherlands and leagues like that, 93 million is their star player. That's why I think it's hard to offload the Telles. He had a great season for Seville. He played 27 games in the Primera and won the Europa League. But he only had 2 assists. He didn't contribute going forward, and I think he's not the player who we bought. He's on his, I don't know, is he 31 years old? So he's coming to an end of his career. So I think a loan is okay. We don't have to pay 93,000 a week, and just say okay, go. I don't think it's time to get greedy. We have too many players to sell.
To Rush Mano's point, he played 27 games in the league, and then there's the Europa League games and the cup games that he's played in as well, registering 2 assists. For an attacking-minded fullback, is that really good enough for attacking fullback 2 assists?
I mean, you got to look at like other parts of his game as well, though. Like, obviously, there's going to be the defending that he's done, key passes. Those are the things that are not in stats. This is why assists annoy me. We don't take into account the other influences on the game. Like, there's other things apart from doing assists. So I'm just hoping, like, if we got that chief negotiator, they should be really selling this player's portfolio. That he's won. Yeah, he's contributed to the Europa League. Pay 10 million. Pay 50 million.
I think for me, with Alex Telles, he's probably better going into a position with a back 3 rather than a back 4. My personal opinion, anyway. What's your thoughts? What was you going to say, Jarvis?
Yeah, I was going to say I'm checking Benfica's salaries, and their best paid player has 112k a week, and the second best has 77, and Telles is on 93, so it will be hard to offload him. Like Julian Draxler is on 55, Otamendi is on 48. So how can we get them to buy him on those salaries? That's the problem with United.
I just don't get why pay cuts is not a thing. Like, I mean, some people do it, but it's like, why are people just like not flexible with the wages? I know there's like the big lifestyle that they've got. But it's like, don't you want to play football? You don't want to come. Telles doesn't want to come back to Man United and sit on the bench, surely, and just like become stiff. Like, surely take a pay cut and go. Like, I don't get it sometimes.
Yeah,
I thought Telles was going to come in and be a really, really good signing. I was so excited when we initially signed him, and it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, it was disappointing, man. Like when we saw that he couldn't defend, that
Yeah.
it was just it was almost embarrassing. That so
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be a big star as well, mate. Anyway,
Well, he did keep Luke Shaw on his toes for one season at least, anyway, and then Luke Shaw went back to how he was, knowing that Tellez wasn't the competition.
and then Malassia's come in and triggered, Shaw to start playing good again. So Tellez has had some kind of, usage.
United to our die. What if Benfica say no to wanting him after the loan? The good thing is, with the loan, once he's off his loan, he's a free agent, so we wouldn't even have to worry about him at all, I guess. But Ravi, can United realistically get any money for Tellez? We could try to get some kind of money. Try at least. I just think I do genuinely think for 1 year it is no point in loaning him personally. But we'll go now on to some more transfers. So Fabrizio Romano was saying in the next 24 to 48 hours that Chelsea and Man United are going to be having a meeting regarding Mason Mount to discuss the transfer, because we know Mason Mount is very interested in leaving. He isn't signing his contract. So just wanted to get your thoughts on it first of all, Griffo, just because it is taking such a long time realistically, isn't it?
Yeah. I keep saying on these that 55 million for Mount is probably the highest I'd go. I think what we're doing, as you said at the start, is putting that offer on the table and then just leaving it. And hopefully we stick to our guns. I've got a feeling Man United will probably do what Man United do and panic and go, yeah, just have what you want and let's get this over and done with. But I like Mount. I want him. I wanted him before all of our other targets went to everywhere. I think we'd especially need him now. So 55 mil. And we've got to consider now, pre-season starts in 15, 16 days? Are we going to get everything signed before then? Is it going to be a United player first game of the season? When we play Wolves, it's going to be so hard to get him ready for that. And that happened last summer. Ten Hag didn't have hardly any new signings for pre-season, and that's why we had a slow start to the season. Now, history could be repeating itself.
Yeah, I agree with that, because we looked at pre-season this year. Ten Hag wanted the players to be in by pre-season, and that's quite obvious it isn't going to happen. I think the only one who came before pre-season, I think it was Malacia last season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and he wasn't even first team. Well, obviously was.
Well, he played with the reserves of Charlie McNeil. I mean, Charlie Savage and Zidane Iqbal, and he come on the second half with the academy kids. What's your thoughts as well, Jarvis?
Yeah, that's always a problem. We get our players in too late. We have been doing this the last 10 years at least. Getting players in early is vital. We have to implement them in the team, so they get to know their teammates, get to know Ten Hag's playing style, get to know the patterns and the drills. So, but we don't do that. We sign always like a Cavani on deadline day and Casemiro, and we have to wait for 10, 15 games before they are ready to play. That's the biggest problem. And when they come on, they are out of shape. They don't have the same preparation as the rest of the players. So I think we are wasting our money. We should just say straight away, buy the players we want, even if they cost a little bit more. But this year is special. We are on a string budget, and we was last year and the year before. So it's this all the time. But I want us to go in hard when the market starts and get players in early. That's vital. You see, like Liverpool, they're a club that always does that. Jurgen Klopp is really good at getting his players in early, and when the season starts, they just rocket launch and get a head start on the rest of the teams. And he gets the players implemented in the system very well. You could see it even when he signs players in January window. What's the name of the player he signed last January? The winger who came in.
Gakpo.
No, the year before. The one we wanted.
Diaz.
Diaz. For example, Diaz. He looked perfectly for Liverpool when he came in. It's easier for them because I think they have a set system and it's easy for the players to recognize the style and how to play. That's been our problem because Ten Hag is like he has to be a little bit what do you call it pragmatic, so he can't play the style he wants. So I think it's important get them in early and implement them in the team.
Did you see the stat? Quickly, did you see the stat on Twitter that the last player United actually signed in June was Wan-Bissaka in 2019?
I didn't know that.
Jeez.
So we haven't actually signed a player in June.
I'm just going to say I have to go now. I have another stream. So
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, Jarvis. Big up to the chat.
Care,
Big up to Zane.
Thank you very much,
Rushmano, thanks for the super chats, and I hope to see you sometimes later.
Bye, Jarvis.
See you soon. I'll shout your channel out after.
See you soon. Bye.
Goodbye.
Can I just answer on Mount and the whole transfer thing? For me, like obviously, like I was saying before, it's like obviously what Griffo was saying. This is another Glazer window where we're going to be doing the slow transfers. They're getting ready to go. So if you're thinking like a Glazer, if you're getting ready to go, you're not trying to really be investing in the product that you've already got your bid for. And even if they haven't got the bid yet, it's like getting in a player that's really good to improve your portfolio. It's going to take time because the player has to play to increase the value of the club. So it's like, doesn't really make sense. So I'm not really, getting hopeful for this window. But if there is money there, for certain players, it's like, okay, don't waste time on Mount, because it's been a couple of weeks now. It's like you don't want to do what these guys did with De Jong and waste half the window. Like, obviously, if new owners come in, they're looking at the performance of the structure because they're thinking, okay, maybe we don't get rid of everyone. Let's see who has actually performed. So for me, people like John Murtaugh and Fletcher, they've got to be working hard to show that they can actually do this transfer window, and work efficiently. Move on from Chelsea, who want to extort they're trying to extort the club for a guy that's on one year for his contract. Wants 60 million. It's like crazy. So you've got to move on from that.
It's just slow, the transfers are slow, the sales are slow, the takeover's slow, De Gea's contract situation is slow, everything at the club is. I commented a few streams back when I think it might have been Pig's first stream back actually. I said that Usain Bolt can 100 meters in 9 seconds. If he ran 100 meters at United, it would take him 9 hours. That's how slow we are in terms of anything. It's unlike any other club, really. It really is embarrassing.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. It is. But yeah, thank you again, Zane, for the £1.99 super chat. How much Saudis pay for Maguire?
Might be £1.99.
Packet of Smarties, maybe.
Oh,
I don't even know. I don't know.
I think it says a lot that the Saudis don't want Maguire. It just says a lot. Like, they're literally getting the likes of Koulibaly coming into the Saudi league. And Koulibaly, right, I have seen snails go faster than Koulibaly this season.
Well, Maguire is going to be slower there. I think that's what they're worried about.
Thomas said, Maguire to Saudi via trying to promote the league, not make it laughing stock.
That's true. That's a good point.
poor guy.
And Raja has said 5 pence to get Maguire to go. here's a good point by 0-2 that I was going to mention. I was impressed with Sabitzer not putting an offer in was a mistake. You know, right, I don't know if you've seen things on social media today, but the kit has been released, of course, and the numbers, Sabitzer is online, but Weghorst isn't. So does that potentially indicate that he could be either getting another loan move or he could be signed permanently, Eddy?
Yeah, because I'm thinking, why would you print his shirt then if he's not going to be available? Yeah, if he's not, yeah, there must be something happening then where we don't know, and he's going to stay. In my opinion, I don't think what he's shown. I know half a season is not that long, right? For a player to show like their full potential, but it's like with Sabitzer, you expect with his experience that he would have. In my opinion, I don't think he's done enough. I don't think because we need a player. In my opinion, we need a player that can really be like a Gundogan, someone that can pull the strings, you know, that can control the pace of the game. He just seems a bit passive. He seems like he's not really there in terms of like carrying the ball as well. I mean, he's got a couple of goals, but it's like I don't really see enough dynamism. I don't know if you guys are on that same level of thinking that, but yeah, I don't think he's shown enough to be staying.
Yeah,
I'll get Griffo's opinion first, so.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sabitzer didn't really do much for United when he was here. The most we would have him at this club is probably in the squad player role, similar to that Rabiot, but then we could have got Rabiot on free. So yeah, I wouldn't be celebrating at all if Sabitzer came to United on a permanent, because he had a good moments here and there, but you need to be more consistent than that, United. And he just didn't do anything for me. As you said, Eddy, slow, pragmatic in the middle of the park, where it's complete opposite of sort of the Ten Hag style. He was a good player to loan in for 6 months and have just in case of injury. I mean, we basically reacted because Eriksen got injured in the cup, didn't we? So yeah, it's not for me, Sabitzer.
I think the thing is with Sabitzer, I think he was showing like, oh yeah, like once he got the groove in, he was. I think for me, playing in the pivot didn't help him, and I think that's where we initially wanted to put him. Putting him further forward, it did help. I think he did look a lot better, don't get me wrong, but I'm looking at Sabitzer's injury records. He's averaging out around 2 to 3 injuries a season. Realistically, are we wanting that at Manchester United? Like, we have just got rid of Phil Jones, who is injury prone. Like, we don't want someone else to fill in his boots there in the medical room, and we don't want someone to join Anthony Martial in the medical room, do we, realistically? So I can see, like, people's points, not bad in squad depth, because I know some people in the chat are saying here, Shifa said Sabitzer is a good utility player, not a main first starter player for Man United. I agree. He isn't the starting 11 player, but I just want, if you're not going to be a starting 11 player, I want someone to be there, as in, if we do pick up an injury, right, we're here, ready, get on that pitch.
Yeah, Maisy, I was just going to say, like if he was to stay, he would be an upgrade on people like McTominay. That's the thing. Like I agree with the comment. Maybe he could be a squad player, but it depends how much you're spending for this player to come in and be a squad player. Like, you gotta get the deal right. Like, how much are we thinking that he would be worth? Like, for me, like, I'm thinking something like it's hard to gauge the market because there's so many subjective values. But I'd say something like 25 mil, something like that. I mean, even that's a bit much, in my opinion, of like rating his skill. But Bayern Munich would want some money, wouldn't they? They want some millions for him still. But the last point is that, he'd be an upgrade on McTominay. So, yeah, maybe he could be a squad player.
I think him and Fred, I don't think Sabitzer's any better than Fred. And if we're looking at getting rid of Fred, then what's the point of bringing back Sabitzer?
That's true. It's true. And I mean, the thing is with Fred, I mean, when he plays bad, doesn't he? Like the way he gets overpowered, the way he passes away the ball. With Sabitzer, I don't really see like the mistakes like that. But I know what you're saying, because like Fred's tenacity is way better, his tackling is better. Like I would say, yeah, Fred's more useful. Well, yeah, if McTominay can go and we keep Sabitzer, that's what I'd like.
0-2 has said that he worked harder than the likes of Sancho, Sabitzer. I think looking at, for instance, Fred and Sabitzer, I think in terms of the midfielders, it's hard to compare him in a kind of way, just because I think Sabitzer is more of a creative type of player who works well moving forward. And you're looking at likes of Fred, where he's much better when he's playing in that box-to-box role, who can drop a little bit further deep if needed to be, because you've seen that. But I think Fred is a bit like how you call that Katy Perry song, Hot and Cold. That's how he gives me the vibes every single game. I'm literally thinking, which Fred am I going to get today? I'm going to get a happy Fred, but is it going to be a poor Fred, happy Fred, or is it going to be a great happy Fred? Which Fred is it?
I always liken him to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's like you're going to get, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's like, you have to flip a coin to see what kind of Fred you're going to get. It's not consistent enough. But just coming back to another point you said before, Maisy, it's like, yeah, we've seen him play too deep as well. Like, I think I've been a little bit unfair on Sabitzer because maybe we didn't see him enough, like playing with Casemiro as well, where Casemiro would do that defensive part and then Sabitzer could have more freedom. Yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one to really gauge.
That's a good point because I remember he scored 2 goals against Sevilla, didn't he? And that was when he was playing in a slightly more attacking position. So yeah, that's consideration. But I think we've got to judge the 6-month loan and what we have seen, not what we can see, and it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah. I agree with that. Rushman has said breaking Onana emerging as a Manchester United top target to replace David De Gea as number 1 goalkeeper. So let's talk about Let's talk about the goalkeeper situation. We've seen the news with David De Gea, which was that as per the exclusive from Dan Sheldon of The Athletic, David De Gea had previously signed a contract extension with Man United before the club pulled the deal. From what we have heard, that was Ten Hag who pulled it in the end. The initial offer saw a reduction in wages, while the new proposal, which is yet to be signed, is reportedly even less wages. Some reports suggest it was Ten Hag, but that's what I've seen as well. It does look like it is Dan Hag. What is the reason? But Eddy, what's your thoughts on that realistically? I think for me, it just really shows that I think it was probably before the West Ham Seville game, he probably offered that contract, and when they've seen it, they probably thought, right, it's a bigger gamble than initially thought.
Yeah. I'm hoping this is true, like what we've just seen. I'm hoping Ten Hag has, because I'm sure he's realized this guy can't play the optimum football that Ten Hag needs, which is playing from the back. He's forced De Gea to try and adapt to the season. And it's like, it goes back to the saying of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't think De Gea can learn this football. So I won't be surprised if, Ten Hag said, okay, I can't work with this player. Because if you look at philosophies, right, in football, where do you build from? Yeah, what does everything rely on? It's the foundation of your defense. Ten Hag wants to play with his goalkeeper, just like Man City do, where that goalkeeper is like a midfielder, right? De Gea doesn't play football. He's a shot stopper. So I'm hoping that Rushmana is correct with that breaking news. Because I was getting excited. We've all seen Onana in that Champions League final. He didn't even look like he was sweating. Like, it didn't look like he was under pressure. That's what I like about certain players. When you watch them in big games and they're just still playing like there's no pressure, it's like that's the kind of guy we need. So I'm hoping this is true, and yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good if De Gea will just leave. I mean, if De Gea leaves now, this is my final point. If De Gea leaves now, it will be on a good high of the Golden Gloves. What a good way to just ride off into the sunset and go to like maybe back to Spain or somewhere. So let's send off a legend.
Zane again with the £1.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Ramsdale levels above those goalies.
Above Onana.
Let's just say, let's watch Ramsdale in an England shirt, then let's come back to that. When he got smashed 4-0. Oh, that's not a pretty sight to see. But yeah, I found the report. It was leaked by TalkSport. Onana is emerging as Manchester United's top target to replace David De Gea as their number one. Ten Hag is a big admirer of Onana, and United have held detailed talks with Inter Milan over a potential move. What's your thoughts, everything on that, Griffo?
Before I get on to Onana, I want to touch on the De Gea story that you said. That completely tilted me the complete wrong way when I read it earlier. I wouldn't say very angry, but I was quite pissed off that when I saw that, because this man, people want to try and rewrite the history books. This man is a legend at the football club. You know, that full stop. David De Gea has been really good for us for years, has saved us in multiple situations. God knows where we'd be if he didn't. And so, yeah, he's got the club legend status in my eyes, and I hope in many other people's eyes. The thing is, you can't put an offer on the table, him agree to it, and then say, no, you can't have it. In what world, in any industry, how is that even remotely acceptable? It just proves that the lack of cohesion with Eric Ten Hag and the board. Because if it is, the board said have this contract, and then Ten Hag says, no, I don't really want this player. It really, really angered me when I saw that, because I just thought, you can't be treating any player like that, let alone a club legend. And honestly, I wouldn't blame De Gea one bit now to leave the club, because what the report that came out today, in my opinion, is just a massive spit in the face of De Gea and all he's done for United over the last few years. Because you can't say have all this money, take it away and go, actually, no, I know you agreed that that wage reduction, but actually we want to give you a bigger wage reduction. It's just a massive slap in the face, and it's another factor into how this Glazers ownership and the board is absolutely just idiotic. But yeah, back on Onana.
We can't be surprised, Griffo. I mean, there's certain players that have been let go where, like, I remember Rio saying he got told in the tunnel by Woodward that he wasn't getting an extension. Like, can you imagine that? Just after you play the game, you're getting told in the tunnel you're not getting your contract for a legend as well. So we can't be surprised, man.
Yeah, true. But even when it still breaks, it is annoying. But on a positive, Onana, I think, is perfect replacement for De Gea. I think Eddy hit the nail on the head when he said, what a way to send off De Gea winning the Golden Glove, letting the contract go to an end. Some Saudi clubs want him. Probably some teams around Europe might want him as well. And I've said it on the previous streams that we've done. I think De Gea can go to a lot of clubs in Europe and still be a really top keeper that in a team that probably doesn't really want to play out from the back as much. Because obviously his shot stopping is still, in my opinion, one of the best around. So I think if he goes to a club that maybe don't want to play as attacking and out from the back as much as we do, then I think he'd still be a really, really good goalkeeper. But I think, I always use the term natural conclusion. We've come to the natural conclusion of David De Gea, in my opinion. Don't sign the contract, and hopefully we can get Onana. But I think, and I wouldn't blame De Gea, like I said now, because of what happened today.
Thank you again, Zane, for the £1.99 super chat. In 2 years, Saliba, best defender in Europe. Some interesting views of Zane today.
Maisy, I'd rival that with Martinez. Lisandro will be the best in a couple of years. Okay, the butcher. Yeah, we've seen what he's done this season. Under all the pressure of being called like he's too small, things like that. Yeah, he's really been a maverick at the back. He's made me enjoy watching defending. I don't like watching defending, and he's just entertaining. He loves to tackle. So yeah, he's going to be better than Saliba. Come on.
Yeah, and just as Nick Nat said, Saliba hasn't even signed a new contract yet. So good luck, Arsenal, in your defence if he does not sign. But I think with there, I'm going to hold my hands up. I have been very critical of David De Gea for a few seasons now. But you need to look at it as, yes, I think it was the point we did need a replacement. We did need to gently ease him out of the squad. But the way that it has happened, I do genuinely think it was a disgrace. Because you can't, the thing is even though, like, we can clearly see it's not Ten Hag's player. and this is something that I am going to criticise Ten Hag at. In his interviews, he was still making out De Gea was going to stay and De Gea is his number one, blah, 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 blah. And I just think them kind of interviews is going to get a player's hopes up, first of all. I understand he doesn't want to throw a player under the bus. I completely understand that. But there's a difference between throwing a player under the bus and giving them false hope. And I do genuinely think that was false hope. And another thing is, you can't offer someone a contract and just, like, you look at that. If you was an employer, like, if you was an employee and somebody said, oh, here you go, here's 200 grand a week. And then you're like, yeah, I'd sign this. And then they speak to their manager and go, oh, no, I'm sorry, it's only 50k a week. You'd be like, you know what? Do one, mate. Anyone would do that. And I do think for me is, yes, it was the right time. We need a replacement, but there was ways of doing it. And I disagree with how the board's done it, and I disagree with how Ten Hag gives him false hope.
I feel sorry for De Gea. Like, it's just, I just hope he has some pride for himself and then just turns down the contract and just gets onto his agent and tries to get a move out. I mean, it's just disappointing.
Can you two think? Because I'm racking my brains and I struggle to think. I can't think of another situation like this De Gea situation that it's literally running down the clock. Will he sign? Won't he sign? I can't remember another time where a player's come to the end of the contract and it's literally like we should have a countdown clock in the top right corner or something, counting down until he leaves the club. Will he sign? Won't he sign? I can't remember a time where players have ran down the clock. For whatever reason, I just can't think when that's happened in the past.
There's players like Pogba. There's players like him where just left on the free. Like Lingard as well.
Yeah, but I think we knew for some time. We knew for some time that those two players would leave with the club. With this one, I think it's like we don't know whether he's signing, we don't know whether he's staying, and it's literally the longer he takes to decide, the closer we get to the deadline, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, I want to say as well, thank you again, Zane, for the £1.99 super chat. Saliba faster, better passer, new French Rio.
I don't know about better passer. Like, I don't know if Zane has seen Martinez's passing. Like, it's really good. Like, to pass it from left to right, he's amazing.
And he's
faster.
fast.
Yeah, I don't know about, because Saliba's pretty quick. I don't know about the speed, but yeah, Martinez is not a slouch, is he?
No, not at all. But yeah,
this is what I was going on about. Sorry, Maisy. This is what I was going on about previously when I said Arsenal fans have good things and then they hype them up too much. Saliba's a fantastic defender. He's probably one of the best in the league. But this is the point of Arsenal fans hyping him up too much, saying that he's going to be the French Rio and could be better than Rio and all this. It's nonsensical.
I was just going to say as well is, I think today really did confirm to me that De Gea was going, because you look at the kit reveal as well, and I know I keep referring back to these kit reveals, but this is the first time we have never seen De Gea pictured in a kit reveal. It is the first time we've always seen De Gea in every single one because he was obviously our main goalkeeper. The only goalkeeper we have seen pictured in that goalkeeper top has been our women's player Mary Earps, and I think for me that just really showed oh crap, De Gea is actually leaving now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point because obviously the goalkeeper kit is different to the outfield kit, and you need, obviously in times gone by, it has been Mary Earps and it has been David De Gea modelling that kit. So the fact we didn't have a men's goalkeeper, we didn't even have Dean Henderson. Obviously that would look a bit weird because he's probably going to leave, but we didn't even have any goalkeeper. They didn't even wheel Tom Heaton out and put the kit on him. So yeah, I think is another indication. I don't read too much into that. The fact that he wasn't on the retention list and he wasn't part of the kit launch, it's indications, but I wouldn't look too far into it. I think just wait. And again, I struggle to understand how we've got this close to his contract expiring and we still have no idea whether he's going to be a United player next season or not.
But by the way, just real quickly, the black kit with the white and red stripes on it, is that the second kit or the third kit?
Which kit?
I'm looking at the kits, right? There's a white one, with the red lettering on.
I'm sure that's going to be the away one, isn't it?
Oh man, I like that the one with the black it's the black base and then the white stripes on it with like red pinstripe going down each white stripe.
If that's the one, I
That's
think
amazing.
you're referring to, I couldn't disagree more. To be perfectly honest, I think it's horrible. Is it black? It looks, because when I seen it, it looks like very very sort of dark green, seaweed green. From when I've seen it, it might be. No. Well, I don't think the home kit's been launched. I don't think the away or third kit's been launched yet. So
you think you don't like it, the black one?
If it's black, I might like it, but the concepts I've seen or the rumors I've seen are that it's sort of really, really dark green, sort of like a seaweedy color.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. It looks like it's like greeny with a bit of red in it and black.
I'm
not a fan. It looks like
toothpaste. It looks black. It looks black to me on here. At least it's better than that lime green though. That lime green.
I love that one. I literally love last season's third kit. I absolutely love it. I love green. Like I know this is just gonna go out of subject, but I will literally pick anything green. Like if I was like to get my makeup done, I'd be like, you know what, I'm getting green eyeshadow here. Like I just absolutely love green. I think it's amazing. But I think
green
for me,
is nice, but like I like the darker one though. It's like the light,
like emerald green.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
I think it was too green. We sort of blended on with a pitch a little bit. It looks like we're just an extension of the pitch.
Yeah, you just see a little head There was a question here from Liam. Who do you reckon will do the most transfer business this summer? Griffo, let's go through first on that.
Out of anyone? If we
pick anyone,
if we can put it to just the top teams in the league, because there's always like a Forest or Villa that will do insane amounts of business. Like Forest signed 2 whole new squads last summer. If we confine it to probably Man United's real competitors this season, I'd say probably the team that would spend the most and get the most business done, I think, would be Newcastle, because they have that massive step up for the Champions League. A few seasons ago they were fighting relegation. They need a lot of squad depth in that squad to go on and fight on all 4 fronts of League Cup, FA Cup, League and Champions League. So I think Newcastle will probably do the most business. They've already got Tonali through the door. There's rumours about Barella, Tino Livramento I saw. So yeah, I think Newcastle will do best. But a lot of clubs, I think City probably won't do too much, because I don't think they need to. They just tweak the squads here and there, replaced a few players, Kovacic, Rice maybe. Arsenal doing bits, Timber, that sort of thing. Liverpool probably just will sign three or 4 midfielders. That's probably all they need. Tottenham, sort of another rebuild under a new manager, will probably get players in. So it really is looking like all our competitors are moving forward and we're just sort of stationary like that, which is sort of the same situation we've seen over the last few summers.
You know what? Yeah, that's the exact same team I was going to say is Newcastle. Yeah, and I was going to follow that up with the Champions League thing changes that game. Like I'm thinking with the signings that they made in that season just gone, I was thinking they've got like certain phases where they're getting in, certain average players and then good players and then elite players. It's like because they weren't expected to get Champions League. It's like maybe they've gone a step ahead in their phases of their project. So it's like I could see them getting, more players and even people like maybe a Neymar who's not happy at PSG. Imagine that as a statement signing. That would remind me of when Man City signed Robinho and we never expected him to go there. Like that would be a big, Champions League football with Neymar at Newcastle. That would be like epic for them guys. Hopefully they don't do it. But I reckon, those are the biggest rivals we've got to worry about.
I think Newcastle, since the Saudis have taken over Newcastle, I think they've done brilliantly with that, because everyone thought they'd come in, Mbappe, Haaland, all of those players are going to Newcastle, but they've spent it really well. The first sort of transfer window they signed like people like Chris Wood and stuff like that, and people were like, why have they signed Chris Wood? Well, they needed him in case, because they had a little striker crisis because Isaac and Wilson were injured in that, so he was brought in to help fight relegation. Obviously, he didn't do too much. It was sort of like our Weghorst signing, but that was the thought process. they're still not going to go out for me and sign your Neymars, and they're signing people like Tonali, who fits the system. Tino Livramento, I think, is a very clever signing. And I think you're right, because I think Newcastle probably had an on-par season with us. I know that we won the Carabao Cup, which probably puts us slightly ahead. But considering expectations, as you said, Eddie, no one expected Newcastle to get top four. While, to be fair, no one really expected United to get top four. But you think United would probably be closer to top four than Newcastle would be.
Yeah.
So I think we've had on-par seasons to that. And then when you consider that they've had injuries, like Bruno Guimaraes was suspended and injured for a few games. Isak and Wilson were sort of in and out the team through injuries. They played Dan Burn at left back for the majority of the season. Now, Dan Burn's like 8 foot tall. You've got an 8 foot tall left back playing well. So once they get the signings, I think they are a real danger. And it's almost like an endless pit of money that Saudi Arabia have for Newcastle, similar to that of Man City. Obviously, they have to abide by FFP. So Newcastle won't be going away.
For sure. I agree completely with Newcastle. I think they're going to be definitely the ones to look out for. Absolutely. The other one that I was actually thinking out of the table itself was maybe Brighton, because they've made some clever signings so far. Getting that Dortmund kid on a free. And they've got European football for the first time, and I think De Zerbi is a fantastic manager. He's already. I think the thing is, if you was a Brighton fan, you'd love Graham Potter for what he's done, and I think you'd probably have been worried when Graham Potter's left. But De Zerbi has just took him to the next level, and I think that's something Graham Potter could never have done with that Brighton squad. And when you're looking at it, De Zerbi didn't really make much changes from a Graham Potter squad either.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a testament has got to be given to their board to know what kind of manager they should be getting in to replace that. Potter was one of the great guys that was, really getting the team to monopolize the football, and then to get someone in that's like pretty much similar, that's upped it to another level. Yeah, the structure's got to be given plaudits, and they keep like you said, who's the Dortmund kid, by the way, that they signed?
Is it Dahoud? Is it?
I think so.
I think it might be Dahoud, but
right. Well,
they're linked to Mohamed Kudus as well, aren't they?
As well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look at other little players that they've got, like Enciso, where it's like they're just getting from obscurity, and then they come in, they fit the system, and it's like we're over here at Man United just worried about our structure. It's like this is where we need to up our game, because imagine Brighton being like trying to challenge for top four now as well, not just Newcastle, Brighton as well. We've really got to pull our socks up and get going.
I think all things considered, if I know Man City are incredibly well run, but they've got a lot of money to do that. I think Brighton, with the money they have, obviously they don't have the endless budget City have. I think they're probably the most well run club in the league, considering how small budget they have compared to the big teams like United's and Newcastle's and Liverpool's and City's. I think they're very well run. I think they had a little brain dead moment when they signed James Milner. I still don't quite know.
I think they really signed that there for squad depth and the European football experience. I don't think it's going to be like that player who's going to like come off, like who's going to start. I think he's going to be one of them ones who just bring him over the line. If they've got a few injuries, you start him. He's got that little bit of leadership, because Brighton is a very young team. I think probably one of their most experienced players are Lewis Dunk. And again, Lewis Dunk doesn't have the experience that James Milner has.
Yeah.
So I think it's just morely down for that experience and that little bit of, how could I say, that encouragement in the dressing room, as like, this is a Champions League winner, a Premier League winner, a Carabao Cup winner, an FA Cup winner. And I think sometimes that kind of taught there sometimes do the world a good for it, especially a squad who's quite inexperienced in Europe.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And that just further backs my point up that they're so well run that they can see a player like Milner coming to the end of the contract at Liverpool and immediately put the two dots together and go, let's jump on him before another team jumps on him, so we can use him not necessarily as a player that we play every week, but a player that can help coach these young players and get some. Obviously, Dahoud's coming in, he's young, and Cisso's young, Evan Ferguson up front, young. They've got a very young and squad and an inexperienced squad, like you said, Maisy. So I think having Milner like that is, all jokes aside, is another very clever bit of business, and it just proves that Brighton are switched on. And imagine if United had owners like that who are so switched on and in touch with football, plus the money that we'd have, would we'd be unstoppable. But unfortunately,
you know what? Yeah,
at the moment.
Just real quickly, like I've seen a big question from Ravi Bakari in the comments saying, "Can United stay in the top 4?" And that is like, because we're talking about teams that are like they're on the up. Newcastle already got top 4. Brighton, Europa League, they could be looking for top 4. I would say, if just to answer, like one big thing is that it's going to be a top 5, isn't it, soon, for like getting Champions League football. So there's a little bit of positivity there, is that there's one extra place to entertain all of the competition in the league. So maybe we don't have to worry that much about getting top 4.
That's not a permanent thing, though, is it? Because it's based on coefficients in obviously City have just won the Champions League, which will obviously help the case. But
with the competitiveness, right? With the competitiveness in the division, it seems like the league would keep up that coefficient to keep getting that place.
Yeah. I think obviously it's not guaranteed, but we're probably the best league in the world at doing that. So yeah, that's a good question. Put in the chat there. It goes back to the point that I was saying about at the transfer market at the moment, we've stayed stationary because we've not signed anyone, we've not sold anyone, and all the other teams are going like that. Liverpool. We love to joke about Liverpool. They had a terrible season. They won't have a terrible season again. Not for a while. I don't think it's.
I think it depends for me on what they do with the transfers, because they easily need 3 midfielders for me, without a doubt. They need a whole new midfield, because Curtis Jones looked great at the end of the season, but can he carry them? Personally, not. I think they need new centre backs, because like Van Dijk isn't the Van Dijk from a few years ago. Matip isn't the best. I think they need someone there to compete with Trent Alexander-Arnold, because he isn't a defensive fullback whatsoever, and he has caused a lot of issues defensively for Liverpool this season. It got to the point where Klopp made a brand new position for Trent Alexander-Arnold, like no one ever knew existed in football. Like, I just think for me is like, I don't know whether you blame Klopp here or you blame Liverpool's bodies. They've concentrated too much on signing attacking players, and that's done them zero favours whatsoever. They brought in Diaz, they brought in Gakpo, they brought in Nunes. I think the only player who didn't come in under Klopp as an attacking player was Firmino, who's leaving on a free in the summer. And from what I've been reading as well, Liverpool's only ever signed 1 midfielder under Klopp.
Is it? That is mad.
That's always been their weakness, isn't it? Midfield. They've just signed McAllister, who's obviously World Cup winner, so he'll be good in that midfield. The big shock for me about Liverpool's midfield is Fabinho. A few seasons ago, I thought he was probably up there with Rodri in terms of being that solid defensive midfielder. And last season, he just completely fell off. I know a lot of Liverpool fans are saying, get rid, because he has fallen off so much. I don't know if don't know about his age. I don't know if someone.
I just looked at it now because I was thinking about what you're saying. He's 29.
See, that should be, prime still, maybe coming to the end of the prime, maybe next season or the season after. So maybe he's dropped off a little bit too soon. So maybe they do need another defensive midfielder in there. But I mean, they were in for Mount, weren't they, Liverpool? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're not I'm surprised they're not the front runners for him, because he just suits that kind of vertical passing. You rejected them, yeah.
I rejected him because they wanted to come to us, but how true that is, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a few points I wanted to say. Like, I was going to ask Maisy whether you think Trent is actually going to be used in midfield, because we've seen him play there for England now, and we know how their board doesn't really spend. I don't think it's really spend enough in terms of trying to compete with City. So it's like maybe they put Trent in that midfield just as a little shortcut kind of thing. And then, I don't know, bring someone from the academy for that right back.
Well, from what I've been watching of other Liverpool fans, they're looking at. They've been using a back 3 system for next season. So could they potentially move to the back 3 and use Trent Alexander-Arnold as a wing back? that could be a potential option. But Ravi said here, Klopp said in an interview, Liverpool didn't need any midfielders and he was happy with who he's got. Well, that's his own fault, isn't it?
That's crazy.
Managers lie. Managers lie in interviews. Every single one of them does it. Like you were saying with Ten Hag and De Gea earlier, saying that he's a big fan. Of, they like to save face, so they keep out the media and stuff like that. I think every single manager lies. Pep lies. Arteta lies, Klopp lies. I think you have to be a liar to be a manager of a top team, just because of how many questions you get asked. So when
it
managers
seems like they have
something,
to protect the board, Griffo. It seems like they have to protect the board's interests and like just hide behind the manager, because obviously they've got power to employ that manager. So it's like the manager's just like the puppet.
It's a clever comment from Jurgen, because if they don't sign any midfielders, then it looks good because Jurgen said he didn't want any midfielders. And if they go and sign a midfielder, which they have in McAllister, then the board look good. Managers, they have to protect the boards, obviously. I know a lot of people, especially when Ollie was here, was like, speak out about the Glazers, speak out about the Glazers. But obviously, that's going to unrealistic because you're employed by the Glazers. So obviously, you're never going to speak out, not directly, unless you're a massive Conte or Mourinho figure. And we saw what happened to the pair of them. They both got ejected out. Ragnick as well said this club needs open heart surgery. That wasn't even that bad, and he still got booted out. So it obviously, speaking against the club is basically a death wish for managers. That's why not many do it. And I think that's a good point in saying that they protect the midfielders.
Yeah, I just want to say one more point on the Liverpool thing, because where Griffo was talking about Fabinho burning out. I'm not surprised that people like him are burnt out, because remember last season they were going for the quad. Right, they were playing like almost every game, so it seemed like to go from the quad to being like having a quad strain for the whole team, that they were suffering. So it's like that amount of football seemed to burn them out. And then linking that back to Man United, we've almost played every game as well. I hope we don't suffer burnout into this season, where you might see a big drop off. Yeah, I just hope we focus more on playing the good football rather than trying to win every game, because that's what Ten Hag was trying to do, isn't it? Try and win every game, and he's had to compromise his style, to counter-attack and a bit of possession, a bit of high press. Yeah, I hope he knows what he's doing with his team, because if we're that Liverpool next season, it's going to be a long season.
And even Chelsea might be back.
Neighbour. Rushmano has said every player is part of the manager's plans until they're sold. Very good point. Liam has said Villa are another team to watch out for next season, especially with that Conference League. Rush has also said, I can see Chelsea struggle again with the amount of new players gel together. United Till I Die has said Poch knows how to work the Prem, will be down to if the players are into his philosophy. Thomas said Liverpool will be there. It's an absolute folly to think otherwise. United Till I Die also said Ten Hag should walk. He's not given the resources for challenge. Ravi said the thing that
takeover though. Can't wait for the takeover, obviously.
No, not with the takeover, no, but Ravi said the thing that killed Liverpool, we didn't refresh the team after winning the league. That's a very good point as well.
You compare that to City. As well. They won the league they won the league 2 years ago and decided that's going by the best striker in the world at the moment, Erling Haaland. This season, they're probably going to sign one of the best defensive midfielders around with Declan Rice. They've just got Kovacic, who's a very experienced sort of midfielder. So it's just
I really wanted Kovacic as well.
Yeah, I like Kovacic. I think he's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And Niall said, I can see Newcastle getting stronger with the spending. Yeah, I agree with that as well. We'll wrap it up from here. Thank you very, very much, Griffo and Eddy, for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. Would you like to shout out your socials, Griffo?
Yep, at Charlie Griffo1 on Twitter, and as ever, just keep an eye on the United Flying High, the Flying Pig website, just for the latest news. I've been on there a bit today, sorting stuff out and getting some articles out. So just every now and then, browse past if you want to read a bit more on news that you've seen or want a bit of breaking news. Then just keep on the socials and Twitter and Facebook and that sort of thing for any news that's posted on there.
Yep, and Eddy, thank you so much for coming on. Would you like to shout out your socials?
Yeah, just first of all, give yourself a pat on the back for another stellar piece of hosting. It's been good tonight. Clap. And obviously, people in the chat getting in the great questions. Hopefully you've hit the like. Big up to everyone in the chat. Griffo, obviously, you know what you do. You do well every time you come on. But yeah, you can find me. You're welcome, buddy. You can find me at Eddy's Football Waffle on Twitter and on YouTube. I've not been doing much on YouTube recently, but I'm trying to get some animation out there as well. I do some podcasts from time to time, but the animation is going to be coming through. So yeah, just come and subscribe and give me a chance, guys.
Yeah, go and check out both Griffo and Eddy on YouTube and on social media. Jarvis as well. I appreciate Jarvis coming on earlier on too. He's on NUFC Realist. You can catch him on there.
Yeah.
All the links for the channels are in the description. You can catch me on my YouTube channel as well, Devils United, Manchester United content, men and women's football. So you can check that out. Just giving a big shout out here. Thank you for coming onto the chat, Nick. Great show. Thank you very much. And thank you to all the mods as well. Thank you to all the super chats. What's coming today? Thank you for coming in, Madhouse. Rather good to see you as well. Niall Kane, thank you for coming in as well. United till I die. Avenger, thank you very, very much. Liam, thank you as well for coming in. Duncan, thank you very much for coming in. Thank you also for coming into the chat. Big up to yourself as well. And thank you everyone else who has come in. Rush Mano, thank you as well for coming in and also for the super chat earlier on. And we'll end up with Rush's most important comment, #Glazers out. So thank you all very, very much. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.